In this video, we're going to be looking at the advanced model settings for the J35 and J55 printers. To start, I'm going to click on the Model Settings tab from the right side menu, select one of my parts, and click More Settings. Under this More Settings drop-down, we have two options. We can control the base and core options, and we can also apply a coating or polishing layer. Starting with the base and core options, you have 4 selections available, and these are dependent on what materials you have loaded as to what options will be available. So right now I have Ultra Clear S, Vero Ultra Black, and Vero Ultra White loaded in the printer. So for my grayscale wrench here, the default is a white core. A white core starts with a 0.5 millimeter thick outer shell of my selected color, so the mix between ultra black and ultra white, followed by a 1 millimeter thick shell underneath of just ultra white. This allows for proper opacity of the color and gives proper color accuracy. All remaining space inside of the part, anywhere where it's thicker than 2 millimeters across the edge to edge of the part, will be filled with a mixed core. A mixed core is a combination of all of my loaded materials. Reason for this is the printer wants to use the heads evenly to prevent one head from being overused and either damaging the other heads or causing one to wear out much quicker. This is also why you may have seen you select a part to be black or white, and in the estimation you are still using all of your materials because they're being used in the mixed core. Moving on to a clear core, in order to select this option you must have a clear material loaded. This is the default core option anytime you assign a body as Vero Ultra Clear or Vero Clear. Similar to the white core, you have an outer shell of either your color selection or clear selection, followed by the remainder of the interior of the part being clear material. The third option is body appearance. I personally like to also refer to this as the no core option. The exterior color selected or material selected will be projected through the entirety of the part. So in this case, this grayscale mix of ultra white and ultra black will go throughout the entirety of the part. The final option is a support core. You'll notice that when I click on the support core option, it will ask me to define a core start depth. This is the outer shell thickness. So on this part, currently, I'd have a 1.5 millimeter thick shell of my grayscale color, and all remaining space inside of the part will be filled with our sub 710 support material. Depending on the support material we have loaded, this can do one of two things. In almost all cases, this will make very blocky or dense parts much less expensive because you'll be using the cheaper support material to fill most of the mass of the part. Or if you're using a soft support material like sub 710, it will also make your parts more flexible. So if you have an elastico part and you fill it with support material, it will actually become softer than the base elastico material. It is important to note that if you use a support core, you need to provide enough thickness to the outer wall in order to compensate for the part's own structural integrity. So very large parts, you'll want to increase this core start depth in order to have thicker external model material walls. The final option is a polishing layer. In order to add this to a part, I do need to have a clear material loaded, in this case Vero Ultra Clear S. Polishing layer lets me define the thickness of an external shell added to the part. So this is adding to the model geometry, therefore changing the dimensions of the part. The purpose of the polishing layer is intended to be worn away during post-processing. So in the case where, especially if I'm dealing with a color model on the J55, if I have a texture that's only a 0.5 millimeter thick on the outside of my part, and I plan on doing more aggressive sanding like orbital sanding or sandblasting, there are cases where I could eventually wear through that color texture and get into the white core. To prevent this, I can apply that polishing layer and have that extra material to wear away in post-processing. The one thing to be careful of in terms of the polishing layer is, if we look, as this is actually a great example with the wrench, where I have a fitting or moving component, if the polishing layer takes up the whole tolerance, this will no longer function correctly. Same goes for things like threads on a cap or similar mating features.